Hello everyone, this is Waldorf.
And this is Statler.
And now we've got the 9th Age Fantasy Battles, and we're doing the review, the long-awaited review of the Dread Elves.
The Dread Elves.
There it is.
And they released these, was it back in December? And they've just posted a little while ago the Alpha 2 version.
Yes, as opposed to the Alpha 1.
Yes.
And I don't know how many alphas they're going to be, but...
I'm guessing the next one's beta, but I'm not... I haven't seen...
Well, the rest of the rules are beta.
Yes.
Until you become an army book. I mean, what do they call it? The...
Gold.
Gold? No, it's something else. Anyway,
oh, okay.
Legendary army book. Until you become a legendary army book, you're still beta.
You're still alpha.
No, you're beta.
You're beta when you become it.
Like orcs and goblins are beta.
Yes,
right now.
yes.
Anyway, I don't know.
So
I'm just talking. I have no idea.
But yeah, I'm not sure when that release is, but I assume it's sometime this year.
Think so? They have managed to get 2 army books completely finished in the 2 years they've been running this.
So I'm assuming.
But there's a bunch in line right now because Infernal Dwarves are ahead of this one.
Yes.
And I don't think it's quite done. I have no idea. Maybe it is done, and I just don't know.
I think it's harder to balance because of all the special rules.
Really? They have the special rules in that book?
Just a few.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't notice.
But
did we review that book?
We did.
Did we? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Why have we never done Dread Elves then?
Because we were reading all the special rules for Internal Doors. It took a long time.
Okay. Got it. All right. Well, let's talk about Dread Elves then.
So Dread Elves. So this is the first of the 3 elf races. I was somewhat surprised that they decided to do just one elf and not do them all at the same time, just to get that cross-balancing.
Correct.
But that's a choice they made because I guess they felt that this army needed some loving.
Okay.
So they gave it some loving.
They did. So let's look and see what we got. Let's roll. Here we go. We've got army model rules.
Yes.
First universal rule is academy training.
Yes, which is semi-universal because not every unit in the army has it, but most of the elf guys do.
It's got a weird rule when you use it calculating combat scores. Each academy trained unit engaged in the combat reduces the rank bonus of your opponent by 1 to a minimum of 0.
Yes.
So you got 2 ranks. You got 2 units with academy training fighting reduces the guy's ranks by 2.
Yeah.
Which can break his steadfast because it's brings his rank down to 0, right?
The bonus, not the steadfast.
A rank bonus. You're correct. You're correct.
It's about static combat res.
And in addition, while within 8, then if you're with 8 of another non-fleeing academy trained unit, you gain devastating charge. Plus, if you're entirely models on foot, you gain +1 advance. Devastating charge +1 advance when declaring a charge until declaring a next charge. Charge. Until declaring a new charge. So you don't get this on the redirect, or do you?
I think you do. I think it's just written rather gobbly-goopity.
It looks like it's written pretty clear.
Yeah.
Because you declare a charge, he flees, I declare a charge at that unit, well, that's a new charge.
Correct.
So I don't get it.
No, until declaring a new... Oh, I see what you're trying to interpret it.
You think I'm interpreting it wrong?
I think you lose it when you do the next declare, but as soon as you declare, you get it back again.
When declaring a charge, until declaring a new charge. I don't understand.
So...
Help me. I mean, seriously.
No, I understand what you're saying.
I know I've kind of been a little over the top with some of the questions, but this seems clear to me that I declare a charge at that unit of orcs.
Unit A, if I'm within 8 inches of 1 or more units. So I don't give it to myself the way this is written.
Okay, that's fine. That's that part up top.
Right.
But I'm talking about this line,
Not
the
sure
first
that's the
bullet
intent,
point.
but that's how I'm interpreting it at least. I'm sure the comments...
Within 1 or more. Well, within 8 inches of 1 or more other units. So yeah, you can't give it to yourself. I agree with that part.
So you have to have 2 units to get this bonus.
And I understand that.
And then...
I just don't get the new charge thing.
If you consist entirely of models,
on
infantry
foot.
Models, so if you have a character that doesn't have it, you don't get the rule.
Correct. Or you got a guy on a horse in that unit for whatever reason, you don't get it.
Right.
Understood.
So when declaring charge, until declaring a new charge with the unit. So you get it,
When do you lose
+1
it?
advance until you declare a new... I see what you're saying. So you're saying the way it's written, you declare the charge, and then when you declare your next charge, you no longer get the bonus.
That's what it says.
So yeah, that's kind of how it reads. I'm seeing what you're saying. That's not what I had interpreted. I guess probably from an earlier version when I was looking at it.
You don't think that means you don't get it on the redirect?
I didn't think that was the intent, but maybe I could be wrong. But yeah, I would agree the way it's written now that if you charge this, basically your second charge, you don't get it.
Unless they're saying you declare a charge and then you don't have it for the rest of the game.
That's basically the way it's written, right?
But yeah, it seems like the very first charge you use, you get it.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That's how it's written, yeah.
Okay. Anyway.
That's not how I thought they were trying to do, but okay.
I don't know. All right. And you count as having an additional full rank for purposes of steadfast and disrupted if they have at least one full rank.
Right.
So if you have one full rank, you count as having 2 full ranks for disruption and steadfast.
If you're within 8 inches of a friendly academy unit.
Wow. In addition, while within one... Okay. So if you charged out away from 8 inches, you no longer get that part unless they come back up and close the gap.
It would seem so, right?
So you have to be within 8 inches at the time you're calculating this.
Yeah,
okay.
That's
not during the charge, because it's not part of the charge line.
Correct.
Okay. I can be...
That's how I'm reading it. So,
yeah. No, I seem to agree with you on that one.
Yeah. So it seems the way it's written now is you only get it for the first time you make a charge. Judging from the forum comments, that's not what I think their intent was, but maybe I'm wrong. And then you only get it if you're within 8 inches of a friendly academy trained unit. Okay, that makes it a little complicated. All right. Then we have the hunting bolas, which is a ability, weapon, whatever you want to call it. There's only a couple of units in the game that have it. It just minimizes rolls from people fleeing when they break from combat.
If one of the units has hunting bolas. Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
For the few units that have it, they probably didn't need to put it here. They could have put it with them, but whatever.
Okay.
I kind of wish they would put a lot of the rules here and then just tell you what units have them.
Here at this point, tell you as well.
If they're going to do it here, yeah.
List the units that have them. Okay.
Yeah. This is an additional aid.
So you can find them easier.
Yeah.
So, I wouldn't really want to play with this. What do I got? Maybe. That brings us to professional courtesy, where you can't join a unit with another model from the same unit entry.
Right.
So you can't, and the only ones I see so far have been assassins, right? Or is there a couple others?
I think it might also
Actually,
be
there's one
of the legates can.
Correct.
I don't think can stack also.
I think you're correct.
Yeah. And we have Scent of Blood, which they just rewrote. That's why it's blue. Yeah. So units that have this, and only a subset of units have this, but a few. They gain Fearless and Frenzy when in combat, and they gain Devastating Charge +1 advance, so similar to the one above, except the charging units have at least one health pool that contains fewer health points than it did when it was deployed or otherwise entered the battlefield. So basically, you've had to have lost a wound or a model.
And currently have that loss.
Yes.
Right, not have healed it.
And have not healed it. And the effect immediately ends. The effect ends immediately before the unit declares a new charge. So I guess it's the same thing.
Well, this one's written a little bit different.
So in this case, when you launch your first charge, you get Devastating Charge. If you have less than your starting health points, but you lose this as soon as you declare a new charge.
Okay. So I got a question for you. Because I've never been really clear on this.
Yeah.
When are you out of combat? You're fighting a fight. This is something I need to look up and look into, because I just, for whatever reason, with this, it came up. So you're in a combat, you fight them, you win, they break. When are you no longer in combat?
Well, in this case, the rule says when you're engaged, and engaged to me is when you're in base-to-base contact.
Okay. So
Engage with a capital E. So
engage with a capital E.
no, it's capital E. So it refers to the rule. Yeah.
Okay, as the rule engaged. Yeah. Okay.
So this one is only when you're in base contact. So you lose that when you're pursuing.
The question is, do you take the frenzy penalty when they flee? That's what I'm coming up with.
I believe by the order that you do.
Okay, that's all I'm asking. Because otherwise, I was like, frenzy doesn't do anything if that's not the case.
Yeah, that's the only time it matters as far as if I remember correctly the order.
Okay.
It's when you're doing a potential pursue hold.
Good enough. So Cineblood, +1 to charge, and I think these are the Cav guys get it, and maybe something else.
Yeah, and just but this last point again, it's like the way it's written, it ends when you declare a new charge.
Well, this one, yeah, this one I can kind of understand a little bit because this one is based on the unit you're charging. So,
but it's the same problem.
But it doesn't say
I charge against the first unit. You flee. I redirect. I'm declaring a new charge.
Correct. You're declaring a new charge, and the effect ends immediately.
So I no longer get the bonus.
That's what I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I said I can argue that okay, I've declared I fought one round, and now turn 2 I'm going to charge again.
But no, you've already made a charge.
But I've already made a charge.
It's declaring a new charge.
So I don't get it because it ended. It ended.
It's a one-time thing. That's what it looks like. But I don't think that's the intent.
I don't think that's the intent of either one of them.
It's definitely the way it's written.
But it's the way I would interpret the way it's written, yeah.
Okay. So I'll use that on one of my friends and see how he likes it. Okay.
If its intent is the +1 to your charge range, I think it's a nice rule for the army.
Yeah. I think that is the intent.
And I think that's the intent.
It's definitely not what it's
If it's a one-time in the game, then it's a waste of time.
Correct.
For a lot of words. Yep. But I don't think that's what they're trying to do.
All right.
It gives a little bit of push. I mean, there is a problem, in my opinion, in the game with infantry charges versus cavalry charges, and this exacerbates it. But that's a separate discussion.
Right, because now you're basically 1 inch.
You're 1 inch slower than
1 inch slower than the average cav.
Who has to charge or die, whereas you don't care if you fail.
Correct.
Most of the time when you're charging against them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So attack attributes. First thing we have is the Artistry of Death. This is a close combat attribute, which gives you +1 to wound.
It is a nice title.
Artistry of Death.
I like
this. Is a fantastic rule for them.
It is.
Scary for everybody else, but it's a fantastic rule for them.
Well, not everybody, but...
well, anybody who has big monsters that are relying on their toughness.
Yes.
Or, sorry, their fortitude.
It makes...
Not fortitude.
It makes resilience.
Thank you.
It makes... And then you have the second rule, which is Ruthless Efficiency, which is replete, and various units... A lot of units have it.
No. Ruthless. Oh, yeah, correct. Yeah. You're right.
Which you're +1 to wound, but only in the first wound,
correct.
First round of combat.
Correct.
Yeah, this makes this army well positioned to deal with monsters and armies that rely on their resilience as their strength. So those armies, would definitely be worried against these guys.
I'm thinking like Sphinxes and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Because a unit of spearmen take it down in 1 round.
Yeah, most monsters are going to have or be afraid if they're not really well armored. Or now it doesn't help against their armor save.
Correct.
So well armored guys don't care about this that much.
Well, you also have a spear, so you're at least -1 probably.
It depends what you're...
Right.
Not everyone has a spear.
I guess you can go the hand weapon shield, but no one does that.
There's different options, but I guess my point is it's not... Armored guys aren't as afraid against these guys as toughness, as resilience guys are.
Understood.
Yeah, so I think it's a very powerful rule. But, it
is.
But frankly, I compare it against the Orcs and Goblins +1 strength rule, and...
Well, +1 strength is not as good as +1 to wound.
+1 strength, +1 AP, depending on the situation...
Can be better.
Correct. So it just depends.
But
on what your opponent is.
How tough your opponent is. How resilient.
Against tougher opponents, this is better.
Resilient opponents.
Exactly. Yes.
You keep using this word tough. I don't think you mean
against
what you think it means.
Better armored guys. The orc rule's better.
Correct, because you get the AP.
Yeah, and the strength against
close to +1 to wound
against most troop type things. It
is +1 to wound.
Yeah.
All right. Nice. So we got Armory.
So that kind of goes with they're trying to make the army more fighty. Okay, that's what they were. I think they made it there. The Armory, Kraken's Hide. If you're on foot, only if you're on foot, you get a +1 armor. There's only a couple of things that have that option.
Okay.
I guess it's a way not to give plate armor or heavy armor, but still give it to certain units.
Characters can get this or not?
Yes. Certain characters can get it, but if they're on foot.
Got it. And the repeater crossbow is a shooting weapon with a range 18. It's got 2 shots, strength 3, AP 0. For a while, it had 3 shots at close range or something.
Correct.
Weird.
3 shots at close range, and the old one was 2 shots at 24 with AP 1. So
it's definitely a downgrade.
To me, yeah, this, even though some of the units have march and shoot, I think it's a downgrade because of loss of AP.
Correct.
I think hurts them, and the short range basically puts you in charge range of most anything.
Correct. Especially if you don't want to take the -1. Now you're 9.
Yeah. So this weapon seems to be built around its special rule, which we'll see later. But it's definitely not going to dominate. I mean, it's going to, all the shots will be interesting. The 3 I thought was crazy because you could put it on the mounted guys and just unload.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the last battle report I did against this unit where it still had 3 shots, rolled right up to my Wolf Riders and unloaded with 5 of these guys and killed 1.
Yeah, so that was...
The AP 0. I mean, and we did the math and he came up like 1 wound short of what his average was.
Yeah, but the more dice you throw at a problem, the more you can have swings. So, correct. Yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah, so it is what it is. It seems to be, like I said, to me it seems to be more built for your fast cav and as the army special, which we'll get to. Which brings us to the repeater handbow, which hardly anybody has. It's just the elite shooters and I guess a couple characters. It is a shooting weapon. Also, it's only got a range of 12 shots X, and which means basically the unit that has it tells you how many shots. I think the guys that have it has 2 primarily. Strength 3. This one has AP 1, which correct. Is kind of, and it's got accurate and quick to fire.
Right. So it's 12. You can march and you can
unload it full
and shoot
without any minuses to you. So that's quite potent.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So I think it's a nice.
Although shorter range, I like it better than the repeater crossbow.
Oh, that's absolutely better. Yeah, because of the AP 1.
But the shorter range can cause you problems.
Yes, especially if it's only on foot guys. You got to expose them.
That brings us to our last weapon, the Blades of Darag. Darag. It's a 2-handed weapon that basically gives you +1 attack and you get +1 attack and magic attacks. That's fine, but then they throw in this bit, which is the nice part about this weapon. For each non-attribute spell of duration 1 turn targeting at least 1 model in the unit, you gain +1 strength for each. So if you have 2 spells running on you, you're +2 strength.
It basically means you need to think really hard before you hex a
unit with
a Dread Elf unit house. Now these only tends to be the witchy type units that have this weapon and a couple characters. But yeah, it's the spell thing. I think is kind of annoying, but
it's something to keep track of. But it's still really good.
It can be quite potent. It does make it, because those units tend to be a little squishy, so you might hesitate. It may cause people to hesitate putting damage on them because they don't want to damage them and attack them because they don't want the strength +1 strength.
Damage them? You mean debuff them? Damage won't hurt them.
Well, anything. Oh, because it's got to be full duration.
Be a 1 turn.
Yeah, it's just going to be hexes.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's the only thing.
Yeah.
Or buffs. You buff your own unit.
Yes.
Now your strength.
And that's the other thing. You can help yourself along. So you're getting a bonus buff.
Yes. So when you cast a buff on yourself, you're actually getting 2 out of it.
Yeah.
Which is a really big thing.
Interesting about this weapon is it's a 2-handed weapon. It's not paired weapons.
Right.
So you don't get the +1 weapon skill with it. And you add to it, but you get the attack value, and there are no magic upgrades for it.
Okay. That's because some characters have access to this weapon, I'm assuming.
Yeah. But that makes the trade-off, so it's really about using the magic phase to enhance your ability.
All right. We've got a hereditary spell.
Yes.
It's the Curse of the Phantom Queen. It's not a terrible name. It's just really big.
Yeah.
Costs 8 to cast, 24 range. Basically, simply put, once you cast it on something, for every wound that unit, character, whatever you cast it on does, it suffers 1 strength 4 AP2 hit back.
Yep.
And it's a magic attack. It's considered range attacks, so they're distributed against the health pool that caused the losses. Special attack spells it includes any close combat attacks, shooting attacks, special attacks, and spells with duration instant for this purpose.
Yep.
And you cannot generate more hits on the guy who did it than he took. He took away from you, basically.
Right, the cost.
I used it. I charged a unit of 5 of the light cav with a unit of 3 chariots and did like 12 wounds. But since I only did 5, I only had 5 bounce back on me.
Only.
So that's the way it works.
Yes.
It casts 8 to cast this with a range 24.
I think this spell's a bit OP.
I think it's very OP, especially for a casting cost of 8.
Yes, it's something that basically a lot of armies have to dispel this every round.
Correct.
Which means everything else is going to get through, or a lot of the other things are going to get through.
You have to camp on this one.
Yeah,
you do.
You got like a pyro mage, and all of a sudden it's like every time you cast a
fireball, blaze,
or a blade, whatever, those attacks are bouncing back on your unit.
Correct.
Or if you've got some attacks and you're just running around in a skirmish bunker that probably only has 8 or 10 models, it's like, oh.
Yeah. Now you're no longer in a bunker.
Yeah, bad things. Or one of those spells that attacks every model in a unit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's deadly.
So.
Well, the other thing is, this is if I'm the Dark Elf player, I get into a combat with a unit.
But what if you're the Dread Elf player?
Then it's different.
Okay.
It's completely different. If I'm the Dread Elf player and I get into combat with a really good unit, I mean, I look at things from the orc point of view.
Yes.
Okay, fine. So my feral orcs with their paired weapons get into a combat with one of your spear blocks.
Yep.
Dread Elf spear blocks. The Dread Elf guy puts this spell on my feral orcs.
Yep.
For every 2 wounds I do to you, I'm taking 1 back.
Yep.
This is the I win combat spell.
Yes.
That's my problem with this.
Yes.
Now, again, if you hit somebody if you've got a heavily armored unit, still your Equitane, making AP, if dealing with a strength 4 AP2, they're not happy about that.
Right, and it's every set of attacks.
And it's every set of attacks.
So.
Yes.
That's what starts piling up. Yeah, I think this one.
There's a couple things that could be. I mean, the casting cost could go up. The range could be shortened. There's things that could be done to kind of tone this down a little bit. Or maybe you choose which one of these, whether it affects close combat, shooting, or special attacks, or spells. I don't know, but the way it is, where it covers everything, because there's also that bit about. If you're in a spell and you leave the unit, you're still stuck with the abilities or the penalties. So now your mage leaves the unit. Oh, good. So now he's still got this thing. Now the hits are all going at him instead of the unit. Anyway.
Yeah, no, because that's basically how you end up using this thing. Is in the early turn you throw it on the mage bunker, and then you start picking off some shooters if they have them, and then as you get into close combat range, you just start zapping.
Well, the other thing, one of the hidden things
basically,
with this,
it's like, oh, you cast it, now I can't charge because I can't afford to go in.
Right. A hidden purpose for this, of course, is, like I said, like you just mentioned, he's got a pyro mage. So I'll cast this on the unit with the pyro mage, so he's affected by it.
Yep.
Now on my defensive spell turn, I don't have to worry about him casting magic missiles.
Right.
It's just, I can let those go because they're going to hurt him too.
Yep, he's going to think real hard.
So anyway, it's really good for what it costs.
Yeah, no,
is what it comes down to.
I think they might have gone a little too far on this one.
Really? You?
Yeah. I mean, even the casting value is like super high. I guess it makes sense, but yeah, I think it's a little too.
It's a casting of 8, and not only is it casting of 8, it's probably a casting of 7 because you get +1 to cast.
Yeah, but you're probably -1 with these guys because you're going to take the one guy using it.
Okay, so it's a casting of 9, but it dispels on a 10,
which makes it even worse. Yeah.
I mean 11. Sorry. Yeah, which is even better.
So, you know.
All right. We're done with that. Let's move on to special weapons.
So that one I think
Special
they need to work a little bit on. Then we have special items.
items.
Starting with the weapons. First we have Crippling Frost, which is only a great weapon. So this is a little bit of a... They did some interesting things here in general with the special weapons. Attacks made with this weapon gain +1 strength, +1 armor penetration, become magical. And in addition, for every hit inflicted with the weapon in a duel, so...
It's limited.
Yes, it is limited. Choose a model part of the enemy. The chosen part suffers -1 attack until the end of the round of combat.
Correct. It used to be the round of the duel, I guess it doesn't matter. Round of combat, round of duel.
End of the duel. Well, a duel goes until
used to be end of the
dies.
duel, correct.
So
yeah.
You could keep piling on. This would start adding up,
Right.
So this is a nice, it's 95 points. It's not cheap.
It's expensive. It's really expensive.
Yeah. But it's definitely helps you stay alive.
Well, and you're going to be +3 strength, +3 AP with this thing.
Yes.
So, that's pretty awesome.
Yes.
Anyway, it's 95 points, though. It's pricey. The -1 attack value is really good because you're a dark elf, so you're a dread elf, so you're probably going before the opponent anyway.
More than likely, you're going to go first, even with a great weapon.
Most opponents.
Because you got lightning reflexes.
Yeah, you're just not going to get the +1 to hit.
And you're going to have a much better chance of surviving because...
and it's also make sure to note it's only for every hit, not wound.
Yes.
So if just hit the guy, it's going to reduce his hit.
Yep.
Like, one of these guys comes up against him, he's going to hit my orc general. Back to my orcs. He's going to hit my orc general on 2s.
Quite often, or at least
probably maybe 3s.
Threes at the worst.
Actually, I don't know. He's
in some cases too.
If he's a 95-point sword, he's probably a lord level character.
Yes.
So he's probably going to hit me on 2s.
So.
But anyway, and now for every once he hit me, I lose an attack. So basically, I'm going to swing back once. I think your minimum attack value is 1.
Yeah.
By the book, not by the spell.
So you're probably going to have 1 or 2 coming back.
Yeah.
If you have a good number. It depends how many attacks you got on your guy, too. Of course, you might have like 8 attacks, but
right.
To start with.
Not my guy.
But yeah, it's definitely a scary thing to run into.
Yep. But again, it only works in a duel.
Yes.
So.
Doesn't help you that much for 95 against grinding.
Correct. So that brings us to the Lacerating Touch.
It sounds painful.
It doesn't sound nice. Yeah. It's a paired weapon enchantment where you gain magic attacks +2 AP and +2 attacks. This is really good. Equitane will hate this thing. You're only strength 4, but you're strength 4 AP 3.
Well, 3 or 4, depending on which character you give it to. But yes.
You're strength 4. You're probably strength 4 AP 3. Which Equitane's not a big fan of.
No, it's good against armor. It's good against...
and +2 attacks. You're going to have 6 attacks.
Against grindy guys, depending on which character you give it to, of course.
Right.
But yeah.
Oh, and you gain fear.
Yes, which is a wonderful thing.
Which is also good.
Yeah, no, I love this. I love this weapon for this army. I think it's something I would definitely take. Then we have Transcendence. They've made it Lance only, which I guess is fine because that's in the old days. That's all everybody took it on. The attacks made with this weapon become magical. For each unsaved wound inflicted against the enemy models with this weapon, the wielder gains +1 strength, +1 penetration for the rest of the game, up to a maximum of +2. Chances are you'll charge the first. If you get your charge off the first time, you're going to be +2 for the rest of the game.
Correct. You've got a great weapon.
Because
your lance is +2/+2.
Yes, except it gets its lightning reflexes bonus.
Correct, and you get the +2 all the time, not just when you're charging.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really nice.
So it was a nice weapon before. It's still a nice weapon.
Yeah. Master of Slaughter is a spear. You get to reroll your 1s against close combat attacks. They're magical, and for each wound you do. For each health point they lose, you get +1 to your combat score for the round of combat.
Yes.
And this can exceed the normal limit that you generate in a duel.
Yes.
So, So he can't throw his champion into you to soak up your wounds.
Right. I mean, it helps with standard combat res.
Yep. It's really good.
It is good.
Combine this with a Academy trained unit, and you're also reducing his ranks by 1 or 2. And now you're adding combat res to your side. It's really good.
Yeah, I don't think this army has a problem getting combat res.
Right.
And some of the other choices, It's an expensive
It's an
elite
expensive
army.
spear.
You have to make choices on what weapons you're going to take.
Mhm.
I'm just not sure, even though this is cheaper than some of the other options, that this will make it to the top.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I want to point out is I arranged this, so you would have to say this next item.
Pride of Gardecos.
Okay.
35 points. It's cheap. It's only on a halberd. So
It's weird. Each one of these weapons is for a specific...
they're all specific. I thought that was really interesting also.
Okay.
While using this weapon, the wielder gains +1 attack value, and attacks made with this weapon become divine and magical attacks. So indirectly...
Divine's really good.
Sorry?
The Divine's really good.
Yes, the divine's very magical's expected, but the +1 attack, so it kind of works like the other sword. It gives you plus attacks, and you're always strength 5. The hero's heart. But it's because it's a halberd, so you get the +1 of strength, +1 attack strength from the halberd. So it's kind of the same thing, but you get the +1 attack also. It's only 35 points to get an extra attack. That's how I look at it. If you want to
with
put
your
a
halberd
on your guy, if you get armor up to protect them, it's a cheap weapon.
Yep.
And divine attacks is always a bonus when fighting against characters or anything that's got an Aegis save. So yeah.
Yeah, nice. That brings us to an armor. We've got the Seal of the Republic. This is an old model, but now it's for models on foot only with heavy armor. For every wound inflicted, you get +1 armor for the rest of the game.
Yes.
So you're going to be an armor 2 up fairly quickly with most characters.
Yes, if you haven't started them there.
If you got this, you're not going to start him with there. You're just going to look for some chaff to go hit.
No, I mean as far as it's guys on foot. If you haven't taken the mithril mail already,
right, that's what I'm saying. But if you're going to take the mithril mail, you're not going to take that.
Right, exactly. Which brings us to banner enhancements. First one is
enchantments.
Enhancements.
It's enhancements to the enchantments.
It's an enhancements without the C.
Okay.
Enhancements. Okay.
Enhancements?
Yes. The Executioner's icon, 50 points. Bearer and rank and file models with Ruthless Efficiency, which is the one that's a +1 to wound all the time.
No, +1 to wound. Ruthless Efficiency +1 in the first round of combat. It says if you've got that, you trade it to Artistry of Death.
I'm sorry. Yes. Thank you. Is the +1 is you get Artistry of Death, which is the +1 to wound all the time.
Right.
And there's no limitation on this, so that's very interesting.
It's kind of interesting, though. This is funny. What is the need for this next line, the last line?
And lose Ruthless Efficiency?
Right. If you've got +1 to wound, I guess so they don't give you +2 to wound
you don't
in
get
the first round of combat.
Yeah,
okay.
I guess that's why
that works.
Yeah.
I can get behind that. That works.
Yeah.
Brings us to the Eye of the Gorgon. Look out, because he gets the Petrifying Stare, and that's a special we'll have to see later when we talk about Gorgons.
It's a special shooting attack.
Use in combat.
Yeah, that you can use in combat.
Yeah. And you must re-roll. This is the part I really like about this, is you must re-roll successful discipline tests.
Discipline checks, not break tests.
It's really good. I like this.
I think it's interesting because basically how it works is you get, I think, two chances at automatic hits. Depending on how large the target is, they're 4 up, 5 up, or 6 up.
Right.
Or automatic wounds, I'm sorry. So that have like AP 10. So it's an interesting thing to give like to a cavalry unit. If you get charged, you can get some shots off before you fight.
It says, if I recall correctly, it's like you said, 2 automatic hits on the unit that wound on if you're man size, it wounds on a 4 up. If you're large, it wounds on a 5 up, and if you're gigantic, it wounds on a 6 up.
Correct.
So
and it's AP 10 or AP 4 or something like that.
Yeah, it's really good.
So I mean, it's a interesting thing I think for a cavalry unit, because if you get charged by some other cavalry, you can get through their armor,
maybe do something,
do something before they zap you with their lances.
Because I think Petrifying Stare, you say, is I-10 or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Brings us to the Academy banner, 40 points. You can only have 2 of them in your army. You gain Academy training.
Okay.
There's a few units in the game that don't have Academy training that you might want to give it to.
Okay.
So you can get the +1 +1 movement on the first turn of charging.
Okay, brings us to the Morthier's Mirror
In artifacts.
in artifacts. For each successful Aegis save of 5-up made by the unit against an enemy attack, you immediately you bounce a strength 5 hit AP2 back at the guy. So for each save you make, you bounce an attack back to him. Models cause the wound before casualties are removed. For any casualties are... Oh, right. You bounce that wound back to him before any casualties are removed. Okay.
Yep.
It's considered a special attack.
Yes.
In addition, you gain a plus 5-up Aegis save.
I think they've missed the forest for the trees on this one.
Can we do you a favor? Because, you know, for every 5-up save I make, I get a 5-up Aegis save. But if I don't have a 5-up Aegis save, I can't make a save of Aegis 5-up. So I have to already have an Aegis save. Can we put this last line up front,
Yes,
get rid of the addition, and start with the bearer gains Aegis 5-up?
That's the primary rule.
Period. Next paragraph.
Yes.
For each success, it's written terribly.
Yes.
Move the line.
Yeah. No, it's...
I read this and I was like, this doesn't do anything. I have to have a save and I get a save?
We had like a 10-minute conversation on it, and I had to keep pointing, read the last line.
It's like, yeah, but the last line is behind all that other crap.
Yes.
Anyway.
So, yeah, they just need to reorder the paragraph for it to make sense. Setting that aside, it's an interesting thing. I would take this. 65 is a lot, but
65 a lot for a 1/3 chance of bouncing something.
Yeah, but it is an Aegis. You know.
Well, it does give you the Aegis save, which you're paying 54 normally.
Correct.
That's a good point.
Yep.
So I guess if you read the last line correctly, then yes, you get a 5-up Aegis save out of it, which costs you 50 points. So you're getting 15 points for every Aegis save you make to bounce it.
Correct.
I like it. It's well worth 65 points.
Yes.
That's it. Moving on.
And it's that caused the wound. It doesn't say close combat.
Enemy attack, the bear immediately, blah, blah, blah. And the enemy attack.
Yes.
Does that count? I don't think that counts as a spell.
It definitely counts for...
Is a spell an attack?
I think anything that strikes you is an
attack. It's a ranged attack.
Yep.
That's true.
So I'm assuming that, whatever you got, as long as you make that save, you're throwing it back at them.
All right. Nice.
That's how I interpreted it, at least.
Okay. A little better than I thought. It's still good.
Yeah. So
I like it.
I think it's interesting. It's a nice little...
It's a 15-point upgrade to the 5-up ward save.
Exactly.
Aegis save, excuse me.
You know, maybe you've got some guy flying on something or whatever, and you've already used a 4 on something else.
Yep.
So you can get 2 5s and a 4 in this army. You know.
Okay.
Brings us to the Mask of the War Crow, 50 points. Bear unit gains fear. That just got me right there. So a second item that causes fear.
50 points for fear.
Yep. In addition, the bear and any friendly units that contain 1 or more models with fear within 6 inches of the model bear's unit must reroll natural ones in close combat. Wound to rolls. Rolls to wound in combat. Whatever. You reroll your ones of wounding. So I'll take this. Because it extends to the whole freaking unit, especially you get like those...
In addition, the bearer and any friendly unit. The bearer and any friendly unit that contains 1... Okay, so the unit you're in gets benefit from this.
Yes.
You know what? This is just kind of a pet peeve of mine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's done for a reason, I'm sure. I just don't like this. You must re-roll. Remind ones to wound. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't want to re-roll. But sorry, you must re-roll those ones.
Yes.
Anyway, just a pet peeve because I'm sure people say, you know, there's reasons for that to be there. I'm sure there is. There's some rules.
I think they could do away with all the musts and just when it is a may, say may, and they'll be fine. But I'm sure that they're trying to strengthen and clarity by doing it that way. But yes, but no, it's I always like fear. Okay. So and when you got a unit that's got a lot of attacks,
fear's good.
It's a way to get the re-rolling ones back into the army because they took it away. So.
All right. Now we have Sinran's Gambit.
I want you to work on this one.
Yeah, thank you. It's a 40-point item, gives you the wheel turn as a bounce spell. Nice. You can't use the advanced version because it's a bounce spell, but whatever. Still decent. Simple.
Yeah.
Nothing much to say there. It's a wheel turns for 40 points.
I wish they'd raise the casting values of bounce spells to 5/8
5/9 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yep. The spell value or whatever.
Yeah, they don't quite drive out, enough dice.
Correct.
For as many as you have to commit, that is. I'd be okay if they draw out about as many dice as you casted them, but drawing out less dice than you're casting, it's like, Not that you can't make them work, you can, but it's just not a fan. Ring of the 9th Legion. Where's the other 8 Legions rings? they must be in other armies.
They didn't get one.
The legates only. Models with Academy training, the Bears unit gain battle focus in the first round of combat.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Now
the worst named thing in
the
list.
Let's back up for a minute, though. 40 points. I mean, what are you going to have at most? Like 24 attacks?
Yeah.
So it's 40 points for 4 extra hits, maybe, in the first round of combat?
Yeah, maybe.
Anyway, all right.
Maybe 5, but yeah.
I mean, depending if you get lucky or not, whatever. I mean, that varies because it's 6s, but...
Yeah.
And it's dice, but anyway.
To me, it's a lot for what you're getting.
It's a lot for what you're getting, it seems like to me.
And you can only take it on on the spirit guys.
Now the most awesome name, the most terrifying name in the lore of the Ninth Age is the dreaded Beastmaster's Whistle.
Whistle. Can you whistle?
30 points, it's 1 use only. Charge range of friendly units and stuff beast within 12. Get maximized roll. Okay. 30 points. I think it's worth it if you're going to build your army around it and do the Cav army and charge stuff. Actually, Cav doesn't work. Never mind. Your monsters. Because Cav aren't beasts, I don't think.
Some are.
I don't know that theirs is. We'll have to try to remember that. But okay. It's a 1-use item. I'm not thrilled with 1-use items, but anyway, if you got a charge you need, you get a maximized roll.
It's, I don't tend to like 1-use items, especially ones that cost more than...
The thing is, they're already beasts, so they're already rolling 3 dice. So now you're talking about rolling 4 dice. And if you've got that other thing, Sin of Blood or whatever, you're +1 on top of that.
Yeah.
That can give you a reliable, really long charge. But
it can. I mean, it's, I guess, to me, is if you got some, Gribblies and you got them all lined up, I guess I could see it. But just because it's a whistle, I just can't see it in my army.
Whistles are terrifying.
Call it a staff, call it anything, but not a whistle.
It's a whistle. Come on. Get behind it.
Shame I'm not a better whistler. When I ever finish my arm, I'll start just whistling when I'm playing it.
Yeah, you'll never finish that army.
That's what you said about my dwarves.
I did. They're not done, are they?
They're close.
Okay.
They're done enough to play.
Army composition, kind of standard. 25% for Raiders.
I thought the Raiders 20% was interesting.
The limit to 20?
The limit to their shooting.
By putting it to the Raiders. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, I always think of all elves as shooty armies.
Right.
So that kind of makes these guys, in theory, not so shooty. I mean, they get double shots, but still.
Yeah, you thought wrong.
I did. And the Menagerie is a good high number, 30 points for the
for monsters? Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, which makes me happy to get all my Kraken unleashed.
Characters. We have the Dread Prince.
Dread Prince Roberts.
Dread Pirate. Come on. He is strength 4. What's he got? 5 attack. 5 attacks base. That's really good.
He has an extra attack.
His agility's already 8. Like that's what I mentioned before about going first.
Yeah, he's got good agility because he's an elf.
Your offensive weapon skill is 8.
It's interesting that the offense is much higher than the defense.
Right.
And he doesn't have frenzy or anything to do that. So
correct.
He's not as defensive, but he's quite offensive.
He is offensive. He's got the doubly riposte. I like that. No, riposte.
Mein Gott im Himmel.
For each enemy model in close combat attack, allocated towards the model, if he rolls a 1 to hit you, then you must strike him back. That must be allocated towards him. So anyway, it's another Every time he rolls a 1 to hit you, you get to swat at him.
Other way around.
What?
For each enemy close combat attack allocates.
Each time he rolls a 1 to hit you, you get to punch him.
Yeah.
It's like, oops, look at that, he missed. I'll pound him.
Yep.
Well, as much as you can pound him with your strength 4 guy. With your scrawny little elf.
Depends what you arm him with.
Yeah, it's true too, but I don't know. Still a scrawny little elf.
Yeah, I mean, you'll probably get a couple of these in a game. Yeah.
Other than that, he's got some standard stuff. Standard, weapon choices. He can ride in a horse, a raptor, or a chariot.
So interesting here is, they kept lightning reef. I was actually surprised. I thought, part of the reason of separating the offensive and defensive numbers, now they did split it here, but we were going to see a big splitting of those values
Right.
for weapon skill. And I thought that lightning reflexes would go away because they would just have the elves have much higher offensive skill to compensate for that. So that's kind of a surprise seeing this, that special rule is staying. But
Yep.
The other interesting thing here is notice that he has no monsters he can ride.
Correct. Yeah, you don't want to put a 5 attack strength 4 guy on top of a monster.
I just thought it was an interesting design choice. I don't have a problem with it. I just thought that was an interesting design choice.
It is.
That, the big fighty prince guy basically is going to be not on a monster.
Correct. All right. Whatever. I don't know. They did it for a reason, I'm sure.
No, it's a design. I kind of think it's kind of neat, actually.
Okay.
Because, a common build is what? You put the biggest, baddest guy you can on a character, on a dragon or whatever, and go stomp everything and maybe have a magic user. So here you have to think about how you build the army a bit. So speaking of monsters, we have the Beastmaster, 210 points. He counts towards a menagerie if he's on Gribblies, and he can ride all kinds of Gribblies. He has basically a lowered level number of attacks, 4 attacks, and not quite as agile. And he's the defensive and offensive.
Still a little low for an elf character.
Yeah, I thought they were a little low when I looked at that. Still got good discipline. The interesting thing is his special rule, Willbreaker's Craft. This one test taken by friendly gigantic models, big Gribblies, aka within 12 inches of more of this model. You basically use his are subject to minimize roll.
Yep. And enemies is maximized.
And if 12 inches or one or more models with Willbreaker's Craft, roll to determine the number of hits from stomp attacks, which is interesting because not only are yours now maximized, your enemies are now minimized.
Right. Yeah. It's a nice little ability.
Which makes them kind of a cool thing. It's interesting that they opted for the discipline tests to basically be minimized, so he doesn't actually help raise their discipline any. Although they all have handlers now, but I guess the general's effect would still apply. So interesting nonetheless. He's got normal weapons loadouts.
Yeah, only 150 in items though.
Yes, he's like halfway between a lord and a hero and his items, and he can ride big Gribblies. He's got dragons and manticores and
he's your big monster rider,
Pegasus, as well as the other one. So he's one of your monster riders.
Yep, that's that guy, the Legion Legate.
Yes,
who has, what is this guy? He's only 3 attacks. He's only he's got offensive defense 6, a little bit better.
He's basically an elf hero.
He's an elfish hero-ish.
Yeah.
He can be your standard bearer. He can be your general. And he gets an extra 50 points of items if you make him your general.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting little...
It's a nice choice. I wish that should be a good thing. Would be nice if that was in all the hero level characters.
Yeah.
But standard weapon choices. He can also ride a Black Mane Pegasus, Chariot, or a Manicore in addition to the horses.
Yes, he can be on a Manicore. So
yeah,
if you want to do a Monster Mash army with a BSB, he could be an option.
And he does have academy training, so he can trigger the other units nearby.
Yes.
So something to be aware of.
Right. Which brings us to, we'll call it a juicy point on the list. The Temple Legate, 310 models.
310 models?
310 models.
That's
310 points per model. That's why I'm old. I'm doing a Biden.
Ooh, that's not
the 3 so he's also only has the weapon skill of 5 on both. He's only got 3 attacks like a hero, and his agility is for an elf is only a 6 for a character, which is
a little low for an elf character.
Yeah, down a little bit. The interesting thing is he gets a 4-up Aegis in melee.
Okay.
And he comes with heavy armor.
Yeah.
He has Ruthless Efficiency.
He does.
Battle Focus, as well as Lightning Reflexes. You basically you must choose one of these upgrades. He's either a Battle Oracle or he's a Warsmith. If he's a Battle Oracle, I remember how they wrote this because they changed it. You get, because you're a Wizard Adept, you can't upgrade from that, so you get 2 spells. You get Divination spells plus the army spell. And then if you or any models are using the Blades of Darag, you gain Distracting. So you shove him in your little whatever the heck they're called, the witchy guys. Well, remember when we get to them, they get the Distracting roll, which is really helpful to them because they're not well protected. Or if you want to go Alchemy, you take the Warsmith, or you're worried about armor, and the guy gets Alchemy, and models with armor of 4 or more enemy units in base contact with the bear must reroll successful armor saves caused by Blades of Darag.
Okay.
So it does. A lot of these units only have strength 3, so they're still going to save, but it gives you a little bit of
make them reroll their armor saves.
Yeah, makes them their armor saves.
So, okay, so I guess it's whatever armor they're currently using, like the Iron Orcs who have a armor of 4. If they're using their shields, if they go paired weapons, now their armor is only 3.
That's how I would interpret it.
So it only works that. It's not the best possible armor. Like for shooting, you assume they're using their shield.
Right.
For this, in combat, it doesn't look like you would.
Right.
Okay.
That's how I interpret it.
He also has Professional Courtesy. You can't put 2 of these in a unit.
Correct. And notice he's not riding anything.
He can't ride.
He's on foot.
That's what he gets.
And he gets. He can also be a BSB, which is nice because you got a model that can be a BSB and mage in your army. And combining characters is always nice because it helps you save points.
Kind of reminds you of a certain high elf, doesn't it?
Yeah.
All right, that brings us to.
Hope they did that with the Sylvan Elves.
Brings us to the Warlock Outcast.
Yes.
He's got Irresistible Will. He's not a leader, and he's a wizard master. The Irresistible Will means all his spells cast 1 higher, but dispelling costs 2 more. You're -2 to dispel anything.
Yeah, it's a really nice roll.
So, yeah, like that's what I was talking about earlier with the Hereditary spell. Now costs 9 to cast with this guy, but it's going to take an 11 to dispel if it gets off. So it hits you pretty hard. Anyway, he's really bad offense defense of 4 as far as elves go.
I mean, he's a mage.
He's an elf mage with 1 attack.
It's interesting with this army, you don't have options for mages. You're either a master or an adept.
That's true.
I
You don't have the levels.
Yeah, you don't have the different levels.
It's a good point. And then he can take light armor, some of the blades. He can have up 200 points. He can ride a dragon if you want him to. Hey!
I think light armor on mages is a big deal.
It is, because you could get the armor upgrades.
Don't have it, because you can get you can get the magic to give them protection.
Correct. Yep.
So they don't die. And even the Blades of Drag, whatever, because it gives him 2 attacks, but he can't get any kind of magic ability with it. So
and also Cosmo, occultism, and witchcraft to choose from.
Yep.
So decent selection, and that's that guy.
Yeah, I really like occultism with this army. Brings us to the Silent Assassin.
Yep, he's quiet.
Yes, I think he'll be very quiet. 180 points, 2 units. He's got only 3 attacks. We'll come to the modifiers in a second. And he's a normal elf hero with a slightly better offensive and defensive weapon skill and a really high agility.
Wow.
Still not the highest, but pretty high. He gets Artistry of Death, so the +1 to wound is nice, and lightning reflexes, and multiple wound too, but only against characters.
Okay.
He has poison attacks, and he comes with a repeater handbow that shoots 3 times and hits on 2s. And remember that it takes no modifiers for moving or range. So that's pretty nice thing. The blades cost, if you give him the Blades of Darag, they cost 25 points. He has no magic options.
He doesn't, but he has Strength 4 AP3 built in.
Yes.
The AP3 is really big.
It is. Strength 4 with a +1 to wound, so he'll wound okay. Then he's got this ability, basically, at the beginning of a turn, you switch him out with another model in a unit, and you play him.
Right. And he can't voluntarily leave the turn he shows up.
The turn he shows up, but after that he becomes a character.
And you have to deploy him by the end of turn 4, or he counts as a casualty.
Right.
Whatever.
I think he's interesting. I
don't think it's enough for what it is.
I don't think it's enough for what it is to be using your very rare character points.
Right. And how much was he? 180. It's not.
I mean, he's not
really
expensive. But yeah, I think if he ended up being like a unit instead of a model or an upgrade,
Right.
you might see him taken. But as a character whose real mission is to wound characters, he doesn't have 4 attacks. It's not going to kill any characters who can probably punk him pretty well. Of course, the characters cost a lot of points.
Yeah, and you got to live to punk him.
Well, 3 attacks, it's unlikely he's going to kill a character.
Double wounds to characters.
That's true. What am I talking about? Yes, he's got the multi wound.
Yep. Yeah. Poison +1 to wound. So yeah, he can. I don't know.
Yeah, he can get it through.
I think it's pretty good.
He is, but he's so situational.
Yep, that's a problem. It's 180 points for a very situational model.
So once again, out of your rare character points. So I just don't know.
Okay. I'll just breeze through these real quick. You can get an elven horse, which gives you +2 to your armor, so it's a barded horse.
Yeah, it's a standard elven horse.
Nothing major except 918 move is really good.
The
Raptor, which is a huge change from the old ones because it's only
different.
resilience 3 as your character. Sorry, as the character.
In this case, it's the character, which means it's 3, so you don't get the resilience buff, but you get, it's basically the same. You get the scent of blood.
It picks up lethal strike and scent of blood.
Yes.
That's its pluses for what it lost, which was the resilience.
And stupidity went away a long time ago.
Yeah.
I was surprised that they kept it at 7/8, but I'm assuming they're assuming the scent of blood will give it the 8, but the way they've written it only gives it for 1 charge phase. So I'm sure they're sorting that out.
The Black Mane Pegasus is 714, 816.
It's a Pegasus.
He's a Pegasus. Standard Pegasus.
And you're limited to 2.
Yep, no more than 2. So you can't do the all Pegasus army.
Yes. Raptor Chariot. This is also a bit different. It's only resilience 4 now. You get a couple of armor.
Does nothing defensive-wise for you more than the...
It just gives you the +2 armor defensively. Yeah. And it's 7/7. It's not particularly quick. It does have scent of blood again.
It does give you resilience 4 instead of 3, though, so I guess that's something.
Right, because before I think it was resilience 5, wasn't it?
Correct,
so,
it was.
So it's not as resilient. And let's say the Raptors are the same. They're a little better, and the crew's got the one guy gives you 2 attacks with the lance.
Yep. With ruthless efficiency.
Yeah.
Lightning reflexes.
So it is what it is. Manticore is limited to 2, so you're not going to have a flying circus of Manticores.
There's your resilience 5.
Yeah. It's more resilient, 4 hit points. It's kind of, I don't remember the exact stats from before. Strength 5, AP2, 4 attacks.
Yep.
That's decent. And it's got light troops. It's large cavalry, but it's got towering presence, so you don't get the uber stomp.
Right.
But you can get an extraordinary specimen, which I think I would never not take if I took this thing. And you get D3 stumps.
Yeah, you just get 50 millimeters longer, which is not really a huge big
You're going
deal.
from a monstrous base to a chariot base. I think a lot of people already mounted this way.
Yep.
I don't mind this. I hate it when you see them go to like the 100 by 100 or like some weird ass base, and we'll see one of those later. But
okay.
But that I think is like an all. If you've got the points, it's on the automatic taste.
And then there's a dragon with scent of blood.
It's a dragon.
Other than that, it's a dragon.
Yes.
Enjoy it. I mean,
some people will.
5 string 6 attacks. It's a dragon.
Yep. Bring us to the core. First, we have Dread Legionnaires, which are the spearmen. Their big thing is they're elves with light armor shield.
That's their big thing? Is that their elves?
They're elvish spearmen. Nothing special except
they're special.
They have their academy training, and they have their Ruthless Efficiency.
That's the special part.
+1 to wound in the first round of combat.
Yep.
So
they're offensive 4, so they're probably better than a lot of monsters. They're +1 to wound, so you're hitting on 2s, wounding on 5s, and killing monsters.
Yeah, and you're also lightning reflexes. So you're often hitting on 2s.
Yep.
Against a lot of the cavalry units that might charge you, you're probably hitting on 3s. But
correct.
You will definitely go first, and you will scare them a little bit with...
+1 to wound. And
so as a core infantry unit, I think it's a very
solid unit.
And it's only 200 points for 15 guys.
Right.
So, and you're going to probably fill in more than 15s. I mean, you could do some minimum stuff with them, I think. But I could see going to 20 just to have some extra resilience.
All right, that brings us to the Temple Militants. These are the witchy guys, as you keep referring to them.
It'll take me a while to figure out the names of all this stuff.
Yeah. So you get 2 attacks each because you've got the Blades of Durag.
Yep.
Fighting an extra rank, ruthless efficiency, lightning reflexes, fearless frenzy scoring. You know, standard. These are the guys.
They don't have the academy training.
They're the witchy guys.
They're the witchy guys. They don't have the academy training, so you'd have to give them the banner to give them that if you wanted to. It's weird that they gave them light armor, so they actually have a luck save of 6
up save
against certain things.
Correct.
I think I'd rather not give them that and save the points.
Strength 3 attacks with no AP against no AP attacks.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
but yeah, and they fight an extra rank, which makes them rather offensive. It's interesting the defensive skills down 1 because of the frenzy. I
guess right.
So they do, in theory, get hit a lot, unless you take some of those upgrades that we were talking about, like that distracting.
Yes, distracting would be nice for this unit.
Yes, and it gets better in a minute. Not the next entry, but now this one, I don't get this unit. The raiding party.
Okay.
So we used to have the Corsairs, Black Art Corsairs. Now they've recreated those. They've reimagined them, as Disney would say. You know, but I think they did a Ryan Johnson. But they have the regular elf stats. They come with a hunting Bolas.
Okay.
So people that run away from them roll 1 less die. They're light troops, so they're not scoring. You're limited to only 3 units in your army. So they're not scoring. They're speed 5 infantry.
Okay.
With a single strength 3 attack. Now, you can give them, you choose between either the Beastbreaker or the Corsair. So the Beastbreaker, they can't be stomped. At the start of a friendly player turn, for each unit that contains 1 or more models with Beastbreaker, choose another friendly with an 8-inch of that unit. The model parts with harnessed in the chosen unit gain devastating charge hatred until the player turn. So basically your cavalry mounts gain hatred if they're within 8 inches beginning of turn. Okay? You still have 1 strength 3 attack.
But you're helping somebody around.
You're helping somebody around, yes. I suppose if you follow your cavalry around and use you're using them that way.
They only move 14, you move 10.
Yes.
You're not that far behind them.
You that's what you end up doing to get that hatred on those 5 cavalry attacks.
10 attacks, they have 2 each.
Oh, that's true. Well, cavalry, it depends on...
No one uses those to fight with.
Well, are you kidding? When it's a 4-up, 5-up ages?
That's a different one. So that's a different unit, you're right.
Then we have the Corsair. They gain the Kraken's hide, so they get the +1 armor. They only come with light armor, so that makes them a 5-up. So they're the same as the other elf stuff.
Okay. But you're a 5-up with paired weapons.
You're a 5-up with... yes, with paired weapons. So it does help your weapon skill. And in addition, each charging unit with 1 or more models of Corsairs gains 1 to its side's combat score if fighting the enemy's flank or rear. So you got it. These speedy guys have to get to the flank or rear, and they give you an additional bonus.
Yay.
I don't understand this unit. I can't figure out what the intent was here, how to use this.
As far as to use it in context of your army?
Right, in context of the other choices that we have in core. Corsairs have always been kind of the redheaded stepchild for the army. People didn't know how to do them. I liked them before with their 4-up armor save.
Well, they make up for it by being more expensive.
Yes, you only get 10 of them. The beauty is you can give them throwing weapons that hit only on a 4, unlike the crossbows, which you'll see. And they count, those powerful throwing weapons count against your raiders limit.
Well, you don't want to have too many of these.
Yeah, because, and I don't understand why some armies, usually the elite ones, have to pay for the throwing weapons against their shooting limit. Yet a lot of other armies get them for free. So
I don't know what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm saying
it's very confusing.
I think that unit needs some help. That's just what I'm saying. I think it's one of the underpowered things in this book.
Okay, at least something's there.
Yeah.
We have, that brings us the Legion Auxiliaries. Yeah, look at that. 15 models for 230. They gain Academy training. The big thing they've got here is suppressing volley, light armor and shield standard. You don't have to buy your shields. It's pretty decent.
Yep.
You can march and shoot. And you have your Ruthless Efficiency, which is really good. +1 to wound in the first round of combat.
Yep.
All that. Now, The big thing they have is suppressing volley.
Well, they have the repeater crossbow that's
Yeah,
it's
no one
on
cares about that.
threes.
It is. It's on threes.
Well, three's a good number.
Three's a good number.
It used to be fours, so you know.
Well, it ends up being 4.
At long range, yeah.
Yeah. Or move. So
yeah.
Anyway. But the suppressing volleys, I think, to me, the big thing. It's here.
Yes.
At the start of each friendly charge phase, if you're non-engaged, non-shaken, unengaged, non-shaken, you get to, with at least 1 full rank, can animate a single enemy unengaged unit within 18 within line of sight. If so, this unit cannot declare any charges, and until the end of the player turn, that unit that you targeted gets -1 to hit against charging academy trained units.
Yes.
So your academy trained unit, if you're beside your unit of spears, now your spears get -1 to be hit.
Yes.
In the first round of combat. Because it doesn't prevent you from shooting yourself or whatever, but it just lets you pick a unit and say, hey, you guys are going to be -1 if we charge you this turn.
Now you give the Academy banner to those witchy guys, and put that character in there with distracting.
Yep.
And then you pile it up with this. Now they're -2 to hit.
So you're going to need probably 6s to hit those guys.
Yes.
Maybe 5s if you're better.
If you're better,
they don't have that
they're
great of
3s,
defense, right?
but still, it's
it's really good.
A -2 is quite horrifying. As far as
I think these are really good.
I think so, and they actually don't fight that badly.
No, you're +1 to wound in the first round of combat.
Because you're +1 to wound in the first round of combat.
Exactly.
And you get parry, and you're going to be a 5-up offensive weapons. I'm sorry, not 5-up, but you're going to be defended with parry. So I think these guys, they've made them so they're a very interesting choice in core, which makes the Corsairs even worse to me.
You still have the lightning reflexes, so you're hitting pretty much everything on 3s and some stuff on 2s.
You don't want to run into armored stuff, but besides that, I think it's a nice thing.
I do this rule. Suppressive volley is really good.
I think it is, but I think they need to not allow it to stack with other
things.
Minuses to hit. I think that's too much.
Okay.
Those guys are already putting out so many attacks now you can't even hurt them. So.
Agreed.
The brings us to special. So first in special we have Shadow Riders, which could also be core.
If you go to 8.
If you go to 8.
Like a lot of the other stuff.
I'm almost of the opinion of, I think about the only army I can think of that wouldn't do this is Orcs and Goblins. But if every army is going to have
I've actually started doing it myself. So.
If every army is going to have take 8 guys and be in core, just move this stuff to core.
Right.
And just make it 8 models minimum like they've done with some of the specialty books. This seems to be because you would never take these compared to other things at 5, because some of your other choices are just better for that role. But as a core unit, they're quite potent. So they're light cavalry elves basically with this on an elfish horse. They come with a light lance, which only makes them strength 4, but they do have ruthless efficiency. So +1 to wound without the uber AP. So they're 5 on the charge with an AP 1, which is nothing to throw away. They've got a 4-up armor save.
On the charge? What do you mean?
They're 4 because of the light lance.
So strength 5 on the charge.
Sorry, they're equivalent. I'm sorry, I should have said.
Somewhat.
Yeah.
Sometimes better.
Sometimes better, yes.
Yeah, but no AP, so sometimes worse.
Yeah. So
anyway,
they're
got it. Sorry.
So that's nice. And then they got a decent armor save. They're still fast. They also come with the hunting bolas. One less reason to take the Corsairs. And have light troops and vanguard. Okay. You can give them the repeater crossbow at a shoot value of 3.
Okay.
Yes, it's expensive, 5, but it's pretty nice.
It's 25 points for 5 of them.
I understand. Or it's going to be probably 40 for 8.
If you've got them in the core, yes.
But you're getting 2 shots each, hitting on 3s. That's pretty nice. If you can get you get the close range, which is not a problem with when your guys are moving 18 or 9 or whatever.
Right, shouldn't be. So
I think this is a very nice unit in core, and it definitely is it'll be interesting how people take the 2 shooty units with one another.
Right.
Decisions they make. Do I want the combat bonus? Do I want these guys to maneuver and cause problems? They're not going to beat any super combat units, but
no,
they'll munch lighter chaff units, and they'll cause problems in people's flanks, and they're really bad for war machines, etc.
Yep.
As a core unit.
All right. Well, that brings us to the next mounted unit, which are the Warlock Acolytes.
Yes.
918 could look similar stats to just above. They've got a built-in Wizard Conclave rule with, you got to pay 120 points for the champion to get that. But you have Aegis 5, Warding Amulet, Light Armor. So you start, you're
and mounted, so you're 6-up armor save.
5-up.
5-up armor save.
5-up armor save.
I meant to say 5-up.
Yeah, so you're 5-up armor save and you got a 5-up Aegis save.
Sort of.
That's kind of neat. That's all interesting. They also have Personal Protection, which is the Warding Amulet. You gain +1 Aegis to a maximum of 3 for each non-attribute spell with a duration of 1 turn, targeting at least one model in the bearer's unit for as long as the spell effects are applied.
Yes.
Whew. A lot of words say you get +1 Aegis.
Yes.
For each non-attribute spell with a duration 1 turn, targeting at least one model in the unit. Okay, so based on that, you can take the Hand of Glory spell over on the right. You don't have the choice of 2 spells. You must take 2 of those spells.
Yes.
Don't get cheesy on me and take 1. You can have to take 2. You can take Perception of Strength, nice spell. Hand of Glory, nice spell. Twisted Effigy, good spell. And the Hereditary. You're probably not going to take the Hereditary. I wouldn't, because I'd rather have that being needed to be dispelled on an 11, like we talked about before. But
if you're taking the big magic user.
Yeah. But the Hand of Glory gives you the unit, basically gives you the unit +2 to your save. So now your save goes down to 3. The Hand of Glory gives you +1 to your save.
Right.
And since you have that on you, you get another +1.
Right.
So now you've got a 3-up Aegis.
Yes.
For the Hand of Glory.
Yes.
That's really good. So you've got a 5-up armor, 3-up Aegis unit running around. They don't have shooting attacks.
Correct. They're all about close combat.
They're all about close combat. And they're not grading. I mean, they're not really going to pound. I guess they're base strength 4, though.
They've got the Blades of Dereg, so if you cast that spell on
now you're strength 5.
You're strength 4 with the +1 to wound.
Yeah. Oh, you're strength 5 with a +1 to wound because you're base strength 4.
Mm-hmm.
And that the Aegis gives you, the Hand of Glory brings your strength up even more. Because you're base 4 on these guys for some reason.
Yeah, Hand of Glory is just a protection, isn't it?
Yeah. But it gives you +1 strength because of the spell.
Because of the blades, yes.
Because of the blades.
Yeah, you're +5 with +1. Yes, so yes. Yeah. So that's kind of...
They're really good if you can get a Hand of Glory off on them. The Twisted Effigies, nothing to sneeze at. Like I said.
Especially early in game.
Yeah.
Perception of Strength gets you up to +6.
I think so.
Yeah. You get +1 for that, plus another one.
Plus another. It's basically +2 to your strength.
Yeah, for the blades.
Cast it on yourself.
And then it makes you a 4-up on your Aegis. So they've completely redone these guys to be. They cast magic on themselves primarily to be more fighty.
Correct.
Not that you can't.
Especially with the Blades of Dereg, make them much more fighty than they used to be.
Yeah. Not that you can't cast these spells on other units, but you want to up your Aegis.
Yep. This is an interesting unit. It seems to be really good.
It seems to be a bit much once you cast on it and not enough when you don't. So I'm not... From a design perspective, I think they've got too many moving parts.
Mm.
I guess if you play the Uber Mage and you keep casting the Hereditary, that you'll always get your spells off with this unit, but it seems to be a lot of mechanics. So I think the unit can be extremely powerful, maybe a little too powerful sometimes. So you end up like destroying it when it's not casting magic on itself, I guess.
Yeah, that's what you have to do, I guess.
But I like the old ones better just because they were simpler to use.
Yeah, still fairly fragile.
It can be, unless you're casting yourself. Now, it's interesting because you can take the Legate guy that's an adept, and take 1 or 2 units of these.
Right. For your spellcasting.
Yeah, and you don't have to take. That's how you don't have to take the big spell guy.
Right.
And you've got 2 fighty spellcasters, and 3 fighty spellcasters because he's reasonably fighty, and whoever he's with is going to be fighty. So you can go with a close
Yeah.
combat magicless with these guys, which is a nice nice option.
Choice.
Yeah, I think it's a little harder because I think in the old version you could just take 2 of these units, and that would be all your magic, and
Right.
go magic characterless. Because of the nature of these spells, I think that's harder to do.
Okay. All right.
Because if you don't protect yourself, you might get zapped off the table.
So you think they are a little overpowered?
I think they can be.
They can be, and kind of underpowered otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't see this being taken. Well,
Oh, I see them being taken. I just
no. I'm thinking without the champion.
Oh, without the champion,
They're still good because all you got to do is cast a spell. The other guy casts the Hand of Glory or some. The other guy casts a spell on them, and now you get the same benefit.
Yeah, but you've got an army full of other stuff that you'd probably be doing that with, given the choice.
Anyway,
what makes it so appealing here is you're getting 2 bonuses when you cast a spell.
Correct.
So that's why you want to do it.
You get the spell and the Aegis.
And the protection, Otherwise, if it wasn't for that, then if it wasn't for that plus Aegis, you might see these guys, but just as alternate magic users. Now you kind of have to use the spells most of the time as fighting your guys, or you don't want them getting magicked off themselves.
Nice. It's an interesting unit. It's
an interesting unit. As I said, I think I can go either way, and I think you'll see them in games. Dread Knights, an old favorite in Standard. I don't remember if they could have 4 units before or not.
I don't remember.
5 to 10 models, 285 points, 35 each. They've got Scent of Blood. They've kept their 7-14 movement with their Scent of Blood. I thought weren't they defensive and offensive 6 before? I don't remember. But they're still agility 6, which is good. They're strength 4 for the riders, a rare strength 4 elf, as well as Raptor riders. They have Ruthless Efficiency. They're only resilience 3 though, so that's a downside. But they have 2 attacks per night now.
Right, you don't have to take the banner to give them.
Right, you don't have to take the banner. So if you took the banner before you only played with 1 unit, this is a definite downgrade. But if you played with multiple units, you definitely have a more offensive guys because they still have a 2-up armor.
Yep.
You have 2 weapons options. The Lances, an old standard, which is for 3 points, and they've added great weapons. My first think, great weapons make these guys amazing, but I'm like, well, then they're only armor 3.
Right. Tough 3 armor, res 3.
Res
armor
3 armor 3. It's like, I'm not sure that's worth paying the extra points for. Not sure.
Right.
If you destroy who you're fighting, it doesn't matter.
Correct.
But
there is that.
If you get into like a big unit of goblin spearmen or something, you're going to go down.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I still think it's a wonderful unit.
Still a nice unit. I mean, it gets charged and it has 10, the 5 of them have 20 strength 4 attacks coming back at you.
Exactly.
With
all AP 1 and half of those have lethal strike and the other ones, Then if you take that Gorgon stair thing or whatever it was called, you get some freebie attacks up front. It can be a scary thing to charge with a lot of things.
All right, that brings us to the Obsidian Guard. These are the old halberd guys.
Yes. They're the new halberd guys.
Yep, they have the Academy training and they have Will of the Senate.
Yes.
They're offense and defense 6, which is good. They have 2 attacks each with agility 6. They're only strength 3. Ruthless Efficiency and halberds.
Yep.
These guys have the ability that Will of the Senate means friendly units within 6. Non-fleeing must re-roll their panic tests. Sorry. I'm afraid that you want
Well, this is one where probably it makes sense to be clear because there may be times you want to like, damn it, I don't want to reroll. I want to get the hell out of here.
I want to run. Yeah, but whatever. This is an interesting.
So this is the elite unit, infantry unit for the army.
Yes. So you're going to be strength 4, 2 attacks, offensive 6 with lightning. So
with +1 to wound on the first round. So
correct. Yeah, really nice.
I think this is a nice unit. Heavy armor. They're a little squishy.
That banner exists, so you can be +1 to wound all the time.
Yeah. And if you're taking this unit, this is probably the unit that gets the banner.
Correct. Unless you put a BSB in the unit with the banner and then use their banner for something else. Yeah,
same thing. But this is the unit I think you want to have that banner. Because Strength 4 is not particularly strong. Actually, you probably want to have that and you want to have a AP standard because AP 1 is...
Well, you're going to be AP2 at least. 1 for the halberd.
Yeah, AP2. I'm sorry, AP2 is decent, but Yeah, but this is
Yeah,
you can build this up to a scary unit.
it's a pretty good unit.
Yeah, I think it's a
Looks
solid
like
unit. I like it. Then we have, thank God, the Dread Judges have been sent away.
They finally buried that name, huh?
They finally buried that name, thank God.
Nice.
Now they're the Adjudicators, which is still a bit of a mouthful, but infinitely better than Dread Judges. You can have 5 of these in the army, which
Okay.
is interesting. They have basic, slightly elite elf stats with their defensive and offensive of 5,
Okay.
but otherwise they're standard elves. They come with heavy armor, they're also scoring. They have Artistry of Death, so they get +1 wound every turn. They have Hatred, so lightning reflexes, and they have great weapons. Since they have lightning reflexes, they're basically striking at agility 5 with strength 5 every round with +1 to wound. Then they have standard command upgrades, nothing special.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm not a fan of these guys.
2 strength 5 attacks each?
No, 1 strength 5 attack.
Oh, 1 each. That's a good point.
To me, they need something else.
If they're going to be elites, they need something else.
They
I
need
agree.
something else. It would have been nice.
How much are they points-wise compared to these guys? Obsidian Guard are 10 for 220.
Yeah.
And these guys are 10 for 200.
I mean, you got 1 more strength out of it. You're losing your +1 to hit for lightning reflexes because you're using a great weapon. You've got the same armor. You don't defend as well. You only get 1 attack, though. So it's slightly stronger. It's like,
Yeah.
I think if they gave these guys plate or gave them the cloak so they had more defense.
Kraken hide.
The Kraken hide.
Yep.
That might make you think about it because they'd at least be a little more resilient than the guys above.
Yeah, I agree.
But the other guys, they just put out enough more attacks that I think it more than compensates for the strength difference.
All right.
Because yeah.
Moving on.
So yeah, I think these guys need some work.
Next we have the Harpies. Harpies have been brought up to a minimum of 8.
Yep.
For 160, they're still really good chaff. Hard target, 2 attacks, strength 4. A nice little skirmish chaff unit.
They fly.
They do fly. 18.
Yes.
So they're nice.
Their leadership's down a little
Discipline's only 6.
bit. Yeah.
So once they get out of that bubble, they're in trouble.
Well, it can be.
With a leadership 6, they're in trouble.
Yeah. Well, they take the losses and stuff. But
Right.
I think, but they are light troops and they are insignificant. They're skirmishers, so they're a little harder to hit.
Right.
Insignificant means when they do run, they don't hurt you. They're hard target. So I think they're fantastic. 160 points for 8 guys. That's basically 16 attacks with strength 4.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have any AP, but war machine hunting, a lot of chaff.
Anti-chaff, yeah.
So this is why I don't think you take
And a good agility.
the 5 Dark Rider guys, because you would take these instead all the time. Unless you take the other guys from core. So I think this is a wonderful unit.
They're nice.
Yeah. I mean, for what they are. I mean, they're going to...
I'll give you that.
Yeah. Then we have always one of my favorite, Gorgons. Can't have enough Medusas on the table.
Exactly.
160 points. Did something a little weird here. You get 100 points for additional models. You can have them in units of 1 to 3.
Okay.
Then you can have 2 units per army, but you can only have 3 models per army.
So 1 unit of 2, 1 unit of 1.
Yeah, I don't quite understand. Why don't you just say
Whatever.
3 models per army? I don't get it. Unless they were worried about, or just 2 units. Anyway, I don't think they're that powerful. They're beasts on 40s. They got a decent movement. Being beasts, they get swift stride. So they're basically a slowish cavalry. They get strider, which is nice. Means they run over everything. They got fear. They are supernal. So
Okay.
you pay attention what you're sticking them into. Decent weapons. So 4 attacks each, depending on which weapon you give them. And it is strength 4 with AP 1. They've got the lightning reflexes like all else. Ruthless efficiency, so +1 to wound the first round. And the petrifying stare, which is what we were talking about before. So at initiative step 10, all enemy models in base context suffer 2 hits with armor penetration 10, and it was 10. And magic attacks that wound on a 4-up for standard, a 5-up for large, and a 6-up for gigantic. So I personally do not like this rule, only because I hate all rules that base I don't like automatic hits in the game because I think they break the mechanics of
Why bother having
all these armies? These guys are paying for high agility and yet or high
defensive weapon skill.
So it's just overcoming all those rules. So I don't generally like that overall.
Right.
But as an attack, it's interesting. You can give them a halberd or paired weapons. You get that +1 to wound on the first round, but I think I still prefer the halberd, even though it costs a lot more to get my AP up.
Correct.
And a definite 5 is good because 3 attacks I might think about it, but I think 4 attacks, the halberd's for me the clear choice, and I'm glad I have a lot of these to paint. Of course, I can only paint
three of them. You can only use 3. You can paint as many as you want.
Yes. I mean, they were always interesting before a single unit chaff, which is still how I think of them, I guess.
Yeah, they're nice. I like them.
Yeah.
It brings us to the Thunder Pack. You get 3 models, and these are beasts on 40 by 60 bases. Where did that come from?
I don't know.
Okay. Anyway,
I guess so. You can't use your any existing models.
They're advanced
armies.
They're advanced 6 with Swift Stride, but in March 10, they move. Yeah, March 10. So they're kind of odd that way.
Yes.
But they have 2 strength 5 attacks each. On the charge, that goes up by, they get +1 strength, +1.
They're light troops, which does matter.
They're what?
Light troops.
Yes.
Yeah.
The light troops, which makes them maneuverable. They also cause terror on the charge as well, which is interesting.
Yep.
They do D3 +1 strength 5 impact hits. So actually not bad. And they have 2 Lash Masters with lightning reflexes and ruthless efficiency. 2 Lash Masters per Thunder Beast. So if you take a unit of 3 of these, which it comes standard, you've also got 6 Lash Master attacks.
Yes.
Which are nothing, they're only strength 3, but they are wounding on 5s.
For this, when they start stacking up, I can see, and what. So what do they count as in the second rank?
What do you mean?
The Lash Masters.
I have no idea. That's a good question. I think only the beast can attack from the.
No, when it's beast, when you got riders, it's only the riders, but they're not riders, even though they run faster than the other stuff. So yeah,
You should look that up sometime. Figure that one out.
That one's unclear to me, and I mean, I personally don't like the Lash Master
Edition,
being re-added everything.
Yeah, I agree.
I would have preferred that they just said it has Lash Master as an attribute and given it better discipline. That's what it represented. Instead of actually having, now I've got another set of attacks that strike at a different strength, at a different weapon skill, at a different agility.
Yes, that you have to look up
that has different special rules. Yeah, you're going to memorize it out there, but you got to think about people that are playing against you.
Yep.
I don't like that they brought this in as this type of thing. I would just, like I said, just give them. Lash Master allows them to have higher discipline, which, for your monsters than they would normally have. I think that would have been enough.
Yeah, I agree.
And then maybe give these guys an extra
attack. I'm interested in this unit. I think I would like to see how this plays.
I think, they're going to be really scary on the charge.
Correct.
You don't want to get charged by these guys, on the grind.
It's only 2 attacks each with the monsters, so
except for your 2 Lash
It's not
Masters.
a ton. Well, okay.
Yeah. So on the grind, I'm not sure about these guys and how you're going to pay $290 and 400 points for a full unit.
They are resilience 5 though.
Yeah, they are resilient. So 400 points. How will they grind for that? And I get 3 stumps also.
400 points. What are you talking about?
If you buy 6 of them.
That's 500.
500 points. Sorry.
Yeah. But even 3, I think I would like to see for 300, 290.
Yeah.
I would like to see how that played.
Yeah, I don't like that they went with different size bases. So.
The 40 by 60 is weird. So, I guess it's a 40 by 40 with enough room for 2 20s behind it for your Lash Masters.
That's probably how they came up with it. Didn't even think about that.
Yeah, really weird.
Didn't even think about that.
Right.
But I mean, a lot of people have monsters on 40s and on 50s. Now they're going to have to rebase them. Or shove some guy. Yeah, I'm not a fan. Brings us to the Raptor Chariot, which is 200 points, 3 per army. Like the character Chariot, it's down 1 in resilience, so it's only resilience 4, but it does have 4 hit points. Defensive, offensive 5. It's got heavy armor and armor 2, so it's a 3-up armor save. So it's still, even though it's only a 4-up resilience, it's a little resilient.
Yep.
But you can definitely shoot it off at resilience 4. It's got 2 crew, 2 attacks each. Both have lances. So on the charge, 4 strength 6 is a nice thing to have. Of course, then you grind it.
Impact.
In addition to the impact, then you grind it for 8 strength 4.
Yes.
Yeah, because the Raptors are
Correct.
2 strength 4 with lethal strike. Then you have your strength 5 impact. So it's it hits reasonably hard.
Yep. It's really hard.
And it grinds okay.
Anyway,
it'll be interesting to see how people take these.
Yeah, strength 6 with +1 to wound.
Yeah.
On the charge. Anyway.
Yes.
This brings us to the Divine Altar. It's a large construct. This is a weird piece. It's on a 60 by 100. Okay.
That's so it fits ranks up.
Correct.
That's what I had before.
Infantry. Yep.
Yeah.
Towering Presence, Battle Focus, Lightning, Ruthless Efficiency, and it's got the blade. The 3 attendants with 2 attacks each get the Blades of Darag, which means you've got 3 attendants with 3 attacks each.
Yes.
Because the Blades of Darag give you an extra attack.
Correct. So
you've got 9 strength 3 attacks coming out of that thing. They are AP 1. If it doesn't have a spell on it, and then it goes up to another strength.
Yes.
For each spell. And then you have to choose either the Effigy of Dread or the Crucible of Slaughter. Crucible of Slaughter, you become not a leader war platform. You have to be in a unit, and you can never leave that unit.
Yeah.
In addition, during melee attacks, the model's unit and enemies in base contact suffer -1 resilience.
Yes.
The model's unit and enemies... addition during the melee combat, the model's unit. So you take a -1 to your resilience. The model's unit and enemy units in base contact with you.
Enemy units in base contact with the model's unit suffer -1 resilience.
But it says the model's unit and the enemy units in base contact all take -1 resilience.
Yep.
So your resilience goes down if you're in combat, and the unit. So you bring your guy, your tough, your mighty toughness elves.
So that -2 to hit's really important.
That -2 to be hit is really important. The other option is the Effigy of Dread, which turns it into a non-moving unit, which gets channel 3, Fear and Unbreakable. Its movement is 0, blah, blah, blah. It puts on an 18-inch bubble of Fear. Friendly units within 18 gain Fear.
Yes.
Which you like.
Yes.
The Fear part. And enemy units within 18 can't use Rally Round the Flag,
which is
for their Fear
powerful.
test.
Yes.
So you're taking a Fear test -1 at the end of each friendly magic phase, you can discard 2 Veil tokens, and for each token you discard, you can increase that bubble by 3 inches. So 2 Veil tokens a turn, that becomes 24 inches. That's really kind of nice.
I'm not a fan of the Crucible, just because it's stuck in the unit.
Right.
I can see certain builds around it. It's personal, but I really think this Effigy of Dread.
Yeah, might have its use for a static army.
Yeah, well, not even that static. I mean, you stick it in the middle of your battle line, 18 inches covers it.
Right.
And then if you need a couple more inches, you
expand it.
Burn up, and you're getting channel 3.
Yeah.
So
no, it's nice. It's an extra die a turn.
Yeah.
In your magic phase.
Or more things to throw out your aura.
To add the aura.
So yeah, no, I think it's an interesting point. I think it might actually be kind of scary.
All right, that brings us to the Raiders.
I think what's bad on it, I think might be a little over the top, is that you don't get your Rally Round the Flag. I think that's a little too much, yeah.
Right.
Then we bring us to the Raiders. We're in the Raiders section, specific rates. First, we have the Elite Black Cloaks. 160 points for 5 miles. Going to have 10 of them. It's got
40 points a model. Oof.
Yes, they're elves. At least they're almost not protected. They have standard elf stats, nothing special, except nothing. They come with hunting bolas, so when they're in combat, if you break somebody, should you beat somebody, they will roll a slice. Their light dice are skirmishers.
You got poison,
and they're scout. It's always nice. They're hard targets, so they're a little hard to hit. They got light armor, so they get that big 6-up save. Lightning reflexes. They get paired weapons in here somewhere, don't they?
Yeah.
They have paired weapons with poison attacks, ruthless efficiency, +1 to wound, and they have that repeater handbow that we've been waiting to see on a unit with shots of 2, hitting on a 3.
It's a really pricey unit.
It's a lot of points, and I can see how people would hate this unit trailing you and plinking away at you with poison shots.
But turn around with a fireball and that goes away.
But they have to get quite close, and there's not too much they want to fight.
Correct.
And they definitely don't want to get zapped with magic. And because one fireball in this unit just goes away.
Yep.
It's not a huge number of points, but
correct.
I'm not a huge fan of this unit.
Yeah, the price per model is just big.
Which is, all elf shooting guys that scout are that way.
All right, so now we got the hunting chariot for 200 points. A chariot option. This one's a horse-drawn chariot.
Yes.
So move 9, march 9.
But elf horse.
Elf horses, it is. But so it goes 9 and 9. So it's no better as far as that goes than a goblin
I was
wolf
surprised they didn't give it a faster march value.
9, 12 or something.
Yeah.
I was surprised as well. 2 crew with light lances, yay. 2 horses. This thing's not fighting much, I'll tell you that. It does have D6 strength 5 impact hits, no scythes, so it's just straight D6. But they are strength 5, I was surprised. I thought they might drop that to 4, since it's a light chariot, basically. It does have the Dragon's Bane Harpoon. This is a shooting weapon with a range of 18, 1 shot, strength 6, AP 10, does D3 wounds. It's quick to fire, so you don't take the move and shoot penalty.
Yep.
It's got reload. So if you hit and wound a model with Towering Presence, it loses its fly and swift stride ability till the next turn.
Yes.
So you get within 18 of it, and you're still fairly safe because it's only going to roll 2 dice to try to get at you.
Right. If that's the only thing within range of you.
So if it's what?
The only thing within range of you.
If that's the only thing within 18. Correct. So it's an interesting thing. You've got to hit and wound to do the second part, not just hit.
Yep.
Which makes it a little tough. Anyway.
This is an army that has no problem fighting monsters because everything is +1 to wound.
Correct. So I don't know what the need for this is.
This piece does not seem to have a place.
I agree.
Because it is so specialized. Because it's useless against rank and file troops.
I don't know about useless, but
okay,
you're right.
You kill one guy.
Correct.
It's
nowhere near as good as the previous chariot.
Yeah, and monstrous things don't want to get shot by it, but it's not devastating to get shot by it.
Right.
On average, you're going to take 2 wounds if it wounds.
Yeah, it's got
it's not even as strong as it used to be.
Yeah.
So it's probably 50-50 to wound. A lot of cases, and then you might do 2.
You average 2, I guess, if you wound. But
if you wound. Let's say they don't have an Aegis. So I don't get this, especially when you compare it to the next entry.
Speaking of the next entry, it's interesting, but I agree with you. I don't, with everything else in the army built for killing monster-ish stuff, seems to be, this doesn't really have a place.
Yeah, they either need to make it much fightier or make that harpoon
a little more dangerous.
Do more stuff than...
Even if it was strength 7, that would make a difference, because then at least it would be that extra point. That
I wouldn't mind having basically being half of the shots of the thing below it.
4 strength 5, you mean?
And then I think that would be interesting, and then you can still give it a special roll if you wanted.
Yeah, and get rid of the multi-wound and do 4 strength 5.
Yeah, I think that'd be a more interesting weapon.
Yeah, and keep the special ability.
Yeah. Then I think that's more. But a single shot, it's like, It brings us to the repeater battery, which is a very nice thing. 200 points. You can have 3 an army still. It can move, and it can move and shoot, if I remember correctly.
It can.
Which is an interesting thing. It's got light armor. Woohoo!
6 up armor. Don't sneeze at that.
Exactly. It's only got 4 hit points, which is always a problem with all of the elven war machines. They're a little light on crew. But resilience 4. So you can zap it off. It's got 2 attacks. It's only got 2 crew with lightning reflexes, but they do have Ruthless Efficiency. And they have their bolt thrower. And the new rules for the bolt thrower are range 24, so not across the table, but far enough. 8 shots, strength 5, AP 2, and it can move and shoot. So to me, I look at this as the elf version of a volley gun.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't have the variability. It's not going to
Not
wipe
gonna
out
do
whole
the
units.
16 shots.
Right, but it's also not going to misfire.
Yep.
So
Agreed.
that's how I compare it, and I think it points that way. And I think at first it looks scary, but I think it's a...
Yeah, when you start comparing it up against the Hell Blaster or whatever that is, the volley gun for the Empire, and the the Dwarven Grudge, whatever it is.
Whatever the Gorgon gun is. I think it's just Gorgon gun, yeah.
Yeah. Then it's not as scary as it seems after you look at those two.
Now, 3 of these sitting on the other side shooting at you a turn is...
24 shots, 24 spring 5 is nothing.
You're definitely going to want to put some attention, and once again, it's 4 hit points with pretty much no save.
Correct.
So it is something that, a 2d6 fireball should remove this from the table.
Yes.
And even a lot of, massed archery can do it. So, and it's range of 24, so I don't think it's unreasonable. But I think you're going to see a lot of them.
I think so, too.
But compared to the thing above it, it's no comparison.
Brings us to the menagerie.
Menagerie.
And we have...
We're watching Star Trek.
The Kraken.
Unleash the Kraken.
The Kraken has been a bit of a change. It is now a coastal predator.
Yes.
Same thing, distracting hard target, still strength 7, 4 attacks. It has hatred against large and gigantic, and does multiple wounds D3 against everyone.
Yes.
It's got lightning reflexes. Oh, sorry. Then it's got 2 Lash Masters. Let's not forget them. They have lightning reflex and ruthless efficiency. The coastal predator rule is what they've added to it. If it's if the center of the model is in a water terrain feature, it gains devastating charge +2 advance and hard target during its devastating charge. So you're already hard target. It's not hard target +1. That's weird.
Hard target might add. I don't know. I assumed that it did.
Stacks, I think. So you're minus. So that dreaded stand and shoot attack that always wipes everyone out.
Yes.
Now gets an additional minus. Yeah.
I don't care about that, but the +2
advance. So now you advance 8.
Yeah.
Charging out with Swift Stride because you're a beast. Mm-hmm. If you can lurk in water.
Yeah.
Now here's the interesting thing with this. If the general is a beastmaster, okay. This is free, mind you.
Yeah, best of all, it's free.
The Colossal, you can take the Colossal Kraken for no points.
Exactly.
You go up to a little bit bigger base.
And it is so much bigger. It is so colossal.
That you can fit 2 additional Lash Masters on it.
It has exactly the same stats.
It's got 2 additional Lash Masters.
Who are walking behind it. So shouldn't it be the Colossal Lash Master?
Yes. It's free.
And you go from a 50 to 100 to the mega 100 by 150
I don't know what
base.
you're talking about. It's not that big.
I guess if you're trying to use it as a
shield.
As a shield, that's
correct.
Somewhat helpful, but I love Krakens. I still love Krakens.
But now you get 2 Lash Masters with your Kraken.
I don't think and
you become a coastal predator.
I don't think I'll take that one, but I like the coastal predator rule. I hate the Lash Master rule for the same reason as above. It's just 3 more attacks, Give it an extra attack if that's what you were trying to do.
2 more attacks.
Well, they wouldn't be as strong or do something like that.
Yeah.
Stomp +1, whatever.
Yeah.
Agreed. But I just don't like what they've done with the Lash Master. But this is still my favorite.
Lash Master.
Still my favorite monster for no other reason I get to say Unleash the Kraken.
The upgrade is free. I just want to keep pointing that out.
It's free. It's colossal.
It's colossal.
But somehow it's got the exact same stats. I guess it doesn't get any stronger or any tougher. It's just big. It's got more water in it. That's what it is.
It's waterlogged.
It's waterlogged. Yeah, it's bloated.
There you go.
It had some carbs. It's bloated before the game. Then brings us to a lot of people's favorite, the Hydra, which I will note costs more points than the Kraken.
Okay.
You can also have 3 of those. You get 6-inch advance, 12-inch charge, so pretty much the same. The weapon skill is only 4, whereas the Kraken is 5. I think it's the same as it was before. It's got a 4-up armor save now, but a fortitude of 5-up, which we'll come to in a second, which works okay. It only has 5 attacks at strength 5. They are poison. It does get a breath attack.
Yeah, it's a good one too. Strength 3 AP 2.
Which is a nice AP. So that's a nice thing to have. And of course, we have to have some more Lash Masters.
Of course.
We've talked about that already.
They're fantastic.
Yeah. So then we got 2 special rules. One is the cut one off for each successful Fortitude save, which is a 5-up. And if you roll a 6, you disregard another simultaneously suffered wound. If there aren't enough simultaneously suffered wounds to disregard, the model immediately recovers 1 health point instead. Very complex way, I think, of just saying you gain a health point. So it's kind of a neat way of doing the,
The regeneration.
of a regeneration.
Right. The Hydra.
Then you have the Rage. Whenever the model loses a health point, it gains +1 attacks. That's basically a giant rule. And if it basically heals itself, it loses that attack.
Yeah.
Interesting. I still think it should have 6 attacks. I think the rule works better.
It'll have 6. Just hurt it a little bit.
Then it would get 7.
Just hurt it a bit.
I just want to, just for some reason, I just think it'd be 6s would make more sense at strength 5 compared to what it had before. Just because I compared to Kraken, which has 4 attacks, with higher strength, hit better, do multi-wounds.
It hits better. It saves better. It hurts things.
So this has got the fortitude and all, but yeah, I think they need to further differentiate it from the Kraken.
All right.
And make it more grindy than it is.
I kind of like the Hydra. It does have Stomp, so it's going to grind very well against infantry.
Yeah, that's your old one.
Now we have the Mist Leviathan.
Oh, baby.
Dun, dun, dun. This is an odd thing. It has undercover the mist. It flies, blah, blah, blah. It advances. It's got a ground rate of 2, 4. So, whatever. It's got 8 hit points. It resilience of 5. No armor, but it is distracting. And no ward. So it has no saves of any kind. But it is distracting.
Yes.
So you can shoot it.
But it's got a lot of hit points.
It's got 8 hit points.
Yes.
It's the same as a spider.
It's got hollow bones. It's a bird. It's got hollow bones.
It's a bird. It's got 2d3 attacks, 2d3 strength 4 attacks, with AP 3, by the way. So it's actually fairly deadly as far as AP goes.
Just not for strength.
And then it's got 4 Lash Masters.
Yes.
It comes built in with 4.
So this thing flies, so clearly they have to be riding it.
Exactly. That's it.
But it doesn't say they're riding it.
Yeah.
So, yes.
The undercover the mist, when you're determining deployment zones, if you happen to roll a tie with your opponent,
yes.
If you have a Mist Leviathan and the other guy doesn't, you win that.
Yay.
You win that tie. In addition, at the start of the owning player's first turn, infantry units that are within 8 can set their march rate to 14. So you normally only march 10.
Yep.
Now you can march 14. So you can kind of steal a march.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Which one of those 2 rules seems more likely and more important?
The steal a march, the additional march thing seems like it's going to be much.
I think that would go first.
A little more.
Yeah.
Of course, if you do that, you do lose your march and shoot ability. So you can't use it to march your auxiliaries up 14 and then shoot somebody. Because they do have the march and shoot.
And then the best part, it's on a 100 by 100 base.
100 by 100? What's on 100 by 100?
They're introducing more and more of these, which I can't stand because
odd base sizes.
You can't get the old GW style plastic bases in this size.
Right, so the bases are slightly mismatched.
So yeah,
you can do.
So you basically have to bevel your own out of a block of wood.
I'll get a block of wood and a chisel, bar of soap, whatever.
Yeah, there you go to get them to match. So I'm not a fan of 100 by 100. Okay. I'd rather it be on a different size base.
Okay. Fine. It's a square base.
Yeah.
It's also kind of odd, but whatever.
Yeah, it's got a whole bunch of strength 4 and strength 3 attacks.
It's weird if you've got a infantry assault army. Maybe
I mean it's clearly built so you're playing an infantry army that can march it on turn 1.
Okay.
That seems to be its purpose. I don't think it's worth its points in its fighting.
Right. It's not too expensive. It's $265.
Not too expensive, but it's a buff wagon that doesn't defend very well.
It's not that big of a buff.
It just
the first turn.
But it's a buff. That's what it's it's very, you don't know what you're going to get as far as your attacks. They're not high strength.
The good AP though.
They have a good AP.
Cav isn't going to like it too much.
Yeah.
Low agility, though.
It does, if maybe it had Ruthless Efficiency, it would matter.
The Lash Masters have it.
Yeah, the 4 Lash Masters. Get rid of those freaking. How are we going to model this? I guess what you do is you have them flying, and you have these guys being dragged up into each other on a rope by their lashes, holding onto the feet by their life or something.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
this is the perfect model for that big turtle thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, yeah.
Yeah. Whatever.
I'm not a fan of that. I think this one needs some work.
I don't think you're going to see a lot of it the way it is. And I think that's it.
That is it.
Oh, that was a long one.
It was.
And now you're wondering why I tried to avoid this army.
Yeah.
Anyway.
They're all long.
But that's it.
So
that's what we got for this army.
I think they've done some neat things.
They have.
I think you got some interesting build options, especially some options with magic. How you want to go. You can go full mounted. You can go infantry.
Right.
So you can go, fighting magic. Some you can go monster mash. So I think they've done some good things. I think a couple of units don't. To me, I'm not a top tier player, so I'm sure there's something there that I'm not seeing, but don't seem to fit or don't seem to make sense.
Right. The Corsairs, not a big fan of.
And the Miss Leviathan comes to mind, the Corsairs and the Hunting Chariot.
Adjudicators, maybe.
And the Adjudicators to a degree. I just think they're
compared to what else?
Suboptimal. I think tweaking some of those will help. Some of the rules are not written as clearly as I'm sure they'll fix that over time. But overall,
sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Glad that.
So,
yeah, it's interesting. I think over OP. The bolt throwers were originally thought to be OP. I kind of agree with you as far as you do the right comparisons. When you start comparing them to like the organ gun, not so much.
Yeah.
And then you go beyond that. The other thing is, I do think there's two things that really concern me in the army. The bolt thrower isn't one of them. The two things that concern me in the army is the +1 to wound on the first round of combat for the academy trained. I really just think that's really good, especially against monsters. It makes monsters tough to deal with.
It makes this the anti-monster match.
Correct. For me. Which, if that's its role, I guess it's okay. Mm-hmm. But then on top of that, the other thing that really concerns me most of all about this army is the spell, the hereditary. Anyway.
I think the hereditary needs work because I think it's OP, and I think having -2 to hit is a bad thing.
Oh, the auxiliary covering fire, suppressive
before
fire.
You even get any magic off.
Right.
So I think those are the two things that bother me from an OP perspective.
Yeah. The big thing is that's only in the first round of combat, I guess. So
yeah, but if you're throwing enough attacks, it's not going to be there, so it won't matter.
Right. That's a good point. So, yeah. All right. Well, that's the Dread Elves.
Yes.
There you have it. I'm done.
So now I can, I've had these assembled, unpainted Dread Elves. I can figure out what I'm going to do with them now.
Oh, look at that. I forgot to press record. Yeah. We can do this whole thing over again someday.
Yeah.
I'm lying. I'm lying about we could do the whole thing over again because whatever. All right. That's it for Dread Elves. Thanks for listening.
Till next time.